Hey everybody, welcome back to Fix the Rust Bucket. In this video we're going to go over repairing and replacing the door hinge pins. Not the whole hinge itself, but just the pins. Truck's 23 years old, truck doors are really heavy, and eventually the pins and the bushings on those pins wear out. These are worn out and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Let's get into the video. So one of the reasons why I've got the hinge pins and I didn't replace the hinges because the passenger side door with the accident. Now the hinge themselves didn't look bent. They are still mounted to the frame of the truck, the A-post, pretty well. I'm going to try and get away with just doing the pins first. Also here on the driver's side door, it's a 2000. This truck's 23 years old. These doors are very heavy and eventually wear and tear on your hinges is what happens. You'll see as I open up the door, it drops, and it probably drops about, I don't know, it's going to be about ½ an inch, 3/4 of an inch, that it completely drops down. Up here in the corner, just watch, you'll see the whole door move, but you see how much play is inside this. So with all that play, I'm hoping, assuming that it's just the pins that are worn out, but you can see the whole door is flexing. Right here on the door catch, how it's shiny there, and then this still has its rubber coating on the back side. The back one is not affected, but here in the front, you see how shiny it is, and that's because when you're shutting the door catch itself right here, and the locking mechanism is actually hitting up here first. You can see just a slight bend in the latch. It's hitting there first and then going in there. Eventually, it will break this, and if not break that, it's going to bend that catch off, and then you're going to be doing more work than just replacing the pins. With replacing those pins, I'm hoping that it corrects this problem on this door. Same thing on the passenger side. We'll replace the pins on the passenger side, and we'll see if there's any more work that needs to be done on the passenger side, because that side was hit, and I'm sure that the hinges themselves are not in the correct position. We'll find out later. Let's get started with the driver's side door. So this is the pin kit that I bought. It's from Skyward Automotive Products, and I will post a link in the description. I've never used them before, so I don't know how they're going to work. It comes with, each kit is for one full door. It comes with enough pins for the top hinge and the bottom hinge. So you get the 4 E-clips, 2 washers, which go to the bottom pins, and the 4 bushings. Now on each hinge, on the top of the hinge, the taller, if you see here where they line up, the taller pin goes on the top of the hinge. The shorter one goes on the bottom of the hinge. So these two right here are for one, and then those two are for the other one. The bottoms are a little bit different. The bottom short pin is longer than the top one, and that's why you have the washer. The washer goes on underneath, and then the E-clip holding it on. So here's the top hinge, and there's the pin to the top hinge. And you can see it's actually on an angle out. And I'll pick up the door here, and you'll see how worn out the door pin is. To replace these, we're gonna have to remove the driver's side door. And to start removing that, we're gonna go ahead and remove this trim piece. Move the floor mat out of our way. Once we have this piece removed off the truck, we have to remove the side of this trim piece here, this kick panel area, accessing the plug for the wires going to the power door inside the jamb here. Those are just held on with metal clips that go into the metal part of your car body. So with the side kick panel removed, this big white and blue plug here, there's 2 plugs actually that are going to the door. The first one here is this white plug. You take this blue clip, it just locks everything in place. Push it as far forward as possible, disconnecting the plug, and that's one. The second wire right here, where this feeds up in, right next to your park and brake pedal, there's another wire feeds up to the side here and into the fuse block. So to remove that, there is just a slight little plastic tab that holds the wire to the plastic of the dashboard, and then the plug itself inside the fuse box. So take and push the tab, and then pull that out of the fuse box. Take this just piece of plastic mounting thing here, pop that off. All right. So with that plug removed now out of the side of the fuse box, you can come back down here underneath, and they're going to feed straight out through the A-post. And then here's your rubber boot seal. This, I'll show you when I get it off and pull it out of there. There's just two squeeze clamps. It's a big round piece of plastic in a big large round hole. You just squeeze the two together and push this out. So I was reaching inside here to try and get to those clamps, the clamp that holds up against the A-post, the wiring. There's just no room in there. So thought of it. You're gonna get a flathead screwdriver. I know roughly from feeling inside the A-post, somewhere here on the bottom and one on the top is roughly where they're at. I'm just gonna go ahead and sneak the screwdriver up behind the rubber boot, find it, and there you go, pry it out. That's easier than tearing your hands up inside all this metal. So now we can move the wires out. Here's our first plug coming out. And then our second plug that went to the fuse box. And that one's out. And then here's what I was telling you about those two tabs. If you can see right here, it's just a push tab and a push tab right there. The passenger side, now we've already taken that door apart in previous videos because it was wrecked and we were figuring stuff out over there. I was able to push in on one side and just push this out, and then it pops out that easily. So the wires removed. We have 3 10mm bolts to remove. One on the top hinge, one on the bottom hinge, and then one on the door catch. And then with that, we can remove the door and start working on the pins. 3 little bolts that hold the door onto the hinges and the door catch. I'm going to try and do this without getting too much in your way. The door catch itself is pretty straightforward. 10mm straight on to the door catch. Just loosen that and take that one off. Can. So there's your door catch bolt. Set that off to the side. Now, to get to the hinges, they are on a slight angle, the top one. Just put the wobble on my extension. Same thing. There. Probably straight, we can get straight on to the one on the bottom here. With that one removed, now again, all 3 of these bolts, all 3 of the bolts for the hinges and the door catch are all the same size. So it doesn't matter where they come out of and where they go back in. So with the 2 hinges unbolted, the door catch, we can go ahead and pick up the door and remove the door. Very heavy. All right, so with the door removed, let's take a look at the pins and see how bad they really are. So there you go. The bushing inside is probably worn out quite a bit. Bottom one, same. Bottom hinge. Yeah, they're worn out, so let's hope the new ones are tighter and hold the door up better. All right, so I have cardboard here. This is just to keep, it's not like welding or anything, but we are going to be throwing some sparks, cutting the metal off, and I just don't want the sparks going in, landing on the seats or the carpet, putting burn marks in it. You have to be careful not to, you don't want to cut the hinge itself. You just want to cut off the pins. So same thing on top and bottom. The top pin, we're going to cut underneath. The bottom pin has the washer and also extends out. We're going to go flat flush across the bottom of the hinge here and cut the washer off. And then these pins will remove upward and come out of the top. They're going to be hot, so be careful. Use a pair of pliers to pull them off if you need to. Did I cut through that one way? Yeah. So, it's already cut through. Take a flathead screwdriver and try and pry it up. Take that. The bushing, which, there you go, let me come over here. That's what's left of the bushing. There's not even a bushing left. Get that to focus. There's not even a bushing left on there. So same thing on the bottom one here. It's gonna be a little bit harder, or a little bit longer I should say, because you do have the washer, so you're gonna be cutting the washer basically off till you get to the pin, and then cutting the bottom of the pin. Not through it yet. Washers off, pins out. Again, these are going to be hot, so be careful. I'm just going to remove this part of the hinge itself to get the bushing. Which again, this bushing's gone. There's half of the bushing left. Do this one. That's all that's left of that bushing. Off at all. So There's part of your hinge. Now, they're identical on this truck, so top and bottom necessarily wouldn't matter. I'm going to remember this is the top one, this is the bottom one, but it's not that as important on this. That's it. Everything's removed. We'll clean this up and then put the new ones in. So I got all of my parts laid out here on top of the hood of the truck. Got our white lithium grease that we're going to go ahead and pack inside the holes before we put the bushings in. And we've cleaned up the hinges. Just wipe them down. They don't need any special cleaning or anything. So we'll start with just putting the white lithium grease inside here. Now remember the bushing, the new bushings sit inside those holes, and then your pin slides inside the bushing and pivots. So once we have the bushing in place, we're going to stick a little bit of lithium grease also inside the bushing. Press them down. Some more grease. Just around the outside. All right, so with our second half of the hinge, and we have our pins here, the long pin, again, goes on top, and that's going to press inside and lock inside here. The bottom one, the same thing. It's going to go in and lock inside this part of the hinge. Take and put the hinge inside here. Take our top pin, place our top pin in, and also place our bottom pin in. All right, well, after searching all my toolboxes and not finding anything that would press these in, you know, the correct tool, I guess you would say, that would press these in, I did find something. It is not the right tool for this, but I think it's going to work. You don't want to hammer these because you're going to bend the hinges. You'll bend these in a certain way and then the door will be off. So they do have to be pressed in. I'm sure there's a tool out there for it. I don't have it. So what I've come up with is my bushing kit, and we're going to go ahead and press it in that way. Let's see if it works. So it gives us the opening on the bottom here for the pin to come out and then press on the top. And the top one and the bottom one are going to be two different ways of doing this. So just got to make sure that I press them in straight. That's going to be the biggest issue, is to make sure I get them in there straight. So take and put that on there. And we'll see how this goes. Let you know if it works or not. That pressed the top one in. Now we're going to work on the bottom one. So after carefully selecting the wrong tool to do the job, we have them on. And take and put the E-clip on the top one. The bottom one, now remember, has the washer first. And then after the washer, the E-clip goes on. So, top hinge is complete. Get to the bottom one, get the bottom one on too. Take all this out. It's on there. Like I said, that is not the right tool for it. Did it work? Yes. So we're gonna bring our door back in, get it hung up. I don't know if I'm a big fan of these door pins with the E-clips. They don't seem very secure, but we'll give it a shot. We'll see what happens and then go from there. Be careful of your wires. You don't pinch them in there, and try and get these hinges all the way out, and then try and hang this door back up by myself. It cannot be that easy. We'll see. The wires out of our way. The top pins in. It appears that they're back in. Let's get the wiring back on, and then we'll shut the door, and the true test will be when we go and shut the door if it's leaning or not afterwards. So feed our plugs back through here. them in place, snap the rubber seal and the plastic back onto the A-post. This one, again, feed back up through here. And we're going to go to the fuse box, which, let me go the right direction. Here we go. Through the outside and then into the fuse box. That one's snapped in place. Come down here, get our bottom plug back on. And push it in, and then just take the blue tab, push it back down. It'll snap in place, and that locks that plug back in place as well. Get our fuse panel cover back on. And now we can go ahead and we'll reattach the bolts. All right, so everything bolted back up and tight. Wires are tucked in. I don't have the trim on just yet. We'll knock that on there, or we'll put that back on in a second here. Let's see if this actually lifted the door up so it doesn't hit anymore. And it appears it has. That's pretty secure. It did tighten it up, and the door doesn't have that movement it did before. I'm now rocking the whole truck, so I gotta get over to the passenger side. We gotta knock out the passenger hinges, the pins, and then we can start working on that door. All right, so with both doors complete and the new pins on there, the driver's side I showed you, it's working great. The passenger side though, from the accident, now that we have a door actually on the truck and line, you know, halfway lined up, the bottom hinge is at least an inch pushed in from where it should be. So that's where the pins, the top pin is in. The bottom, so somewhere here in the middle on down, when the truck got hit, it pushed this area in at least an inch. I didn't measure it, so I was just guessing about an inch there. So we're gonna have to work on that A-post, figure out how to pull that back out since I don't have a frame machine in the garage, as you can see. And then that door will be done and complete as well. All right, so that's gonna wrap up the video of putting in new pins on your door hinges. The hinges on the driver's side were okay, as you saw in the video. The hinges on the passenger side, the one's pushed in a little too far, so we're gonna have to start working on that. As for the kit, the hinge kit and stuff working, did it perform like it's supposed to? Yes, the driver's side door is not hanging or drooping anymore. Am I happy with that kit? After installing it, I'm not too happy with it. We'll see how long it lasts. Those E-clips on the bottom, I don't think they're gonna stay locked in place. And if they don't stay in place, the pin itself is gonna start working its way out. If I had the choice to do it again, yes, I'd buy the kit that comes with the nut that secures the pin on the bottom. Maybe down the road, we'll change them back out again. I'll leave a link for both kits in the description below. I don't know what tool that is that presses in these pins. I don't have one. You saw we kind of just pick and choose a tool in the garage to get them to work. Did it work? Yes. Is it right? Probably not. So with that, we're gonna go with those hinges. We'll see how well they do, and over time what happens. I'll keep you guys updated on that as we continue to repair the truck. If you like this kind of content, consider subscribing to the channel right here. Check out some of our other videos that we've done. Consider giving us a thumbs up.